Hello there, and welcome back to Grass Me Up, the podcast all about fantastic lawns and premier sports turf. I am your host, Dr. Russell Sharp, the founder of Eutrema Limited. And today's episode is a special request made by Heather and Kevin Seward. Why is my grass turning yellow? And they sent me some pictures, and I thought I'd go through the top 10 reasons why grass is turning yellow and probably give my thoughts about why their grass is turning yellow. So, grass can turn yellow for a number of reasons. It doesn't actually turn yellow, and that's why the scientific term for it is chlorosis, which means it's gone less green. So when the chlorophyll breaks down, the yellow pigments, the carotenoids that you make carrots and bananas and things like this, they show up because the green has broken down. The chlorophyll has broken down for some reason. And so the plant is actually not turned yellow. The yellow was always there. It's showed up because the green has disappeared. But enough of the science of chlorosis. What is actually causing it? Well, the number one cause is always drought stress or lack of irrigation, whichever way you want to look at it. Drought stress is not a great term because when we think of drought, it's a lack of water and high temperature. So they are two stresses combined. So it could be either of those. Normally they're combined in the summer months. However, you could have lack of water in the winter and it not turn yellow. So yellowing in the summer months is very, very common for lawns. And apart from the aesthetic nature of it, there's not much you need to do really. You can water your lawn and your sports turf to keep it green, but it's not going to die in the UK from a lack of water, unless it's very, very new, it's recently turfed or recently seeded. If it's an established lawn or sports turf, it's going to survive. So the whole of my local cricket club's pitch turned extremely yellow this summer, but within a few weeks of rain returning last summer, it'd gone bright green again. Now, that's not to say there's no lasting effects of that stress. You'll get thatch build up because those leaves will die off and it'll be the new leaves, the new leaf blades that will return. And that sort of straw material needs breaking down. That's why we've got a product called thatch degrader, but you also need to physically remove the thatch as well. But unless but obviously having a yellow pitch is no good if you've got spectators or you've got people coming around, hence the need to irrigate. As always, if you're going to irrigate or water your lawn, water it infrequently every few or several days, but a lot of water so that it gets deep down into the topsoil. It's not a surface applications. Just a surface drizzle every day is no good because it, one, evaporates off very quickly. Two, encourages root growth near the surface, not deep down, so not sustainable growth. And three, builds up salt levels because of the salts from the tap water and the fertilizer building up because it's evaporated all the time rather than transpired by the plant. So, drought stress and underwatering, by far the number one reason your lawn is turning yellow. Number two, nitrogen deficiency. Nitrogen is the primary nutrient responsible for chlorophyll production and lush green vegetative growth. Yes, magnesium and iron are also essential for the molecule of chlorophyll, but they're not normally limiting. Nitrogen is by far the most limiting nutrient because it's needed in such high amounts. It's also needed for protein production, things like that. So you'll also get slow growth. If you've got nitrogen deficiency, it will be characterized by very, very slow growth. At my local sports field, Welford Victoria Football Club, Newlands Road in Welford, their sports turf is so nutrient deficient. We've got orchids growing there. Nitrogen is by far the most limited nutrient. So this year, we've just been applying foliar applications of nitrogen. You will know it's nitrogen deficiency because it will be a uniform pale yellow green, whereas underwatering it will be patchy. Areas where there's more water will stay green, for example, and also it'll be in nitrogen deficiency will be yellow even when it's not warm and it's not dry. So a good sign of nitrogen deficiency is the older leaves turn yellow. So take that example of the Welford sports field. The older leaves are all yellow come mid-summer. The young leaves are green. It's the older leaves that are yellow. Whereas if it was drought stress, it would be the whole plant that was yellow. Okay. Third reason is soil compaction, heavy foot traffic, children playing even, but especially things like vehicles, especially if you're like, if you run a car park over your sports field for certain events, then this can lead to soil compaction, or machinery. That squeezes the air pockets out of the soil, suffocates the roots, preventing them from absorbing water and nutrients. The leaves, basically, it's like flooding. There's no oxygen in the root system, so they can't absorb the nitrogen and other nutrients. Solution for that, well, obviously, I didn't say the solution for nitrogen deficiency. The solution for nitrogen deficiency is adding a nitrogen fertilizer like our 32% nitrogen, which is made from urea ammonium nitrate, 3 forms of nitrogen. Really good nitrogen fertilizer liquid, as opposed to a granule, which can scorch the leaves, especially if it's done in damp or dewy conditions. Don't be applying like urea granules, and liquid nitrogen is a superior form for premium turf. The solution for soil compaction, I would always say our liquid gypsum product, our unique liquid gypsum product instantly works on soil compaction and drainage issues. So that's a good one for that. Flocculating the clay, making it back into a crumb structure because you've pushed all the air out of those crumbs. Fourth reason your grass might have gone yellow is you've scalped it. Basically, scalping means you've mowed too low. And it can be tempting in the summer as you think, I'm going to produce the belfry of golf greens on my uneven grass. Even though it's not completely flat, I'll go lower and lower and lower. And you just drop the mower blades lower and cut often too low. That scalps the crown of the grass plant, removing the nutrient-producing leaves and exposing the stalks at the bottom, the yellow material at the bottom. So you've removed all the green material. All that's left is the yellow material, perhaps nitrogen deficient, and plants really struggle to recover from scalping. Even if you don't remove the meristem, the growing point, still takes a long time and takes a lot more sort of good soil, good fertilizer to get it growing again once it's been scalped. So avoid doing that. A lawn that is mowed very high will be far more resistant to wear and tear as well, because the root system underneath will be bigger. Plants tend to like a 50% root to shoot ratio. And so if you scalp it, not only are you damaging the top, the root system will die off to counter that. So to try and go back to 50-50 ratio. So if you've scalped it, you're going to be in for a world of pain for at least a year. You can have issues with moss and lichen growing and outcompeting weeds. So scalping is a big problem. There isn't a fertilizer or out the bottle solution to that. There isn't a piece of kit you can buy really to solve that one. Blunt mower blades is number 5. If your lawnmower blades have not been sharpened recently, get them sharpened. Find somewhere local. Ask someone in your local area where they get that from. The frayed, jagged ends of the grass that's been cut with blunt lower mains, they dry out quickly and turn pale yellow or even white, giving a dull, discoloured look. And when I said that this podcast episode was at the request of Heather and Kev in Loughborough, they sent me a picture, and it was like a classic blunt mower blade picture. So the leaves were the blades of the leaf were frayed. And that is worrying because they pay a large multinational company to mow their lawn. And so I would definitely be going to them for say, hang on, what's going on? Are you sharpening your tools? We've got this. Send them a picture, ask for a refund for that at least a week or month of mowing. So that could be a good one. Number 6, fungal diseases like red thread or fusarium can lead to yellowing or chlorosis, especially in damp, warm weather. That's an incubator for lawn fungus. The red thread sort of forms like a red thread, the fungus, but the patches of grass can turn bleached yellow. And fusarium patch snow mold is another culprit that creates yellow dying circles in autumn, not to be confused with fairy rings, which can lead to spot circles, big circles in your lawns that can die off and turn yellow, at least yellow. They produce a luscious green circle where the phosphorus is being delivered to the plant. But when that fungus moves out of the area, it leaves behind hydrophobic waxes in the soil that will dry out. The plants can't absorb the water, and so you get this really circular yellowing. So if you've got patches in circles that are yellow, that's fairy rings, and check out our solutions for that. It normally involves our lime sulfur soil sterilant or a wetting agent to remove those waxes, such as clay drainer. products there. Okay. Blunt mowers, I didn't come up with a solution for blunt mowers. Just sharpening your mower blades. Number 7, lawn pests. So if your yellow patches can be easily rolled up like a piece of carpet, especially if you've got newly laid turf, you likely have a pest infestation. And the number 1 is probably chafer grubs, chafer beetles, and leather jackets. Leather jackets are the larvae of crane flies. Chafer grubs are the big ones. They live in the soil, aggressively feed on grass roots, cutting off the plant completely, its water supply. Notoriously bad, especially in waterlogged, wet conditions. Certain times of the year are more prone to chafer grubs and leather jackets than others, and you'll know if you have them because your neighbours will talk about them. And you can put a tarpaulin or a blanket or something like that down overnight, and they will come up to feed when it's really, really moist under the blanket, so you can find them that way. And also you'll have loads of crane flies. If you've got leather jackets, then so that's chafer grubs. So crane flies, you'll have loads of crane flies in your house if it's your home lawn, or if you're in a sports field, there'll just be crane flies all around. So you'll know that you've got the leather jacket larvae in the grass. So you will probably have a living population of these two in your lawn. Any lawn will have these in there, one or, not say one or two, probably hundreds. But it's only when it gets an infestation that your lawn will turn yellow. So again, you're going to need a soil sterilant or an insecticide, or you can buy nematodes to control that. I would probably, if I had a really bad infestation, I'd go lime sulfur, leave it 3 days, apply some nematodes, and also probably put some liquid gypsum down to flocculate, because it's probably going to be wet and compacted. That's probably going to be the reason you've got that. Okay. Number 8, you could have soil pH imbalances. Your soil could be an extreme pH. So grass thrives best in slightly acidic soils, so 6.5. If your soil is too alkaline, so if you're in a chalky area like the South Downs, then it can lock up vital nutrients, especially iron. And obviously iron is the central molecule of chlorophyll, or in the center of the chlorophyll molecule. And so without iron, grass suffers from chlorosis and doesn't turn a vibrant green. So obviously the answer to that will be a pH down. We have an organic pH down at Eutrema. Better than applying granular sulfur, because it doesn't need to be dug into the soil. Obviously, you've got a lawn, it's established, and granular sulfur will scorch leaves if it's not dug in properly, and also it doesn't create sulfuric acid, so it's a lot better for soil biology. So bring the soil down gradually, the pH down gradually over a number of months, if not years, with pH down products, and then also a chelated iron, like our Ultimate Iron product. You don't want to be applying iron sulfate. Will bring the pH down, but it will also kill the soil biology, and it will cause thatch and things like this. So you want a chelated iron and a pH down product. So that's number 8. Number 9, pet urine. So if you've got spots, big spots of yellow appearing in localized bright yellow circles surrounded by a dark green outer ring, it's likely caused by dog urine or bitch scorch. Urine contains a massive amount of nitrogen and phosphorus, essentially chemically burns the roots. So solution for that is to scarify out all the dead thatch, the dead grass, because it is dead, reseed, and then probably have a good dose of liquid gypsum, because the calcium in the gypsum will lock up the free phosphate that's causing the issue in the pet urine. And we've had customers who've used our liquid gypsum for waterlogging and compaction. They've gone, why did it solve the bitch scorch in our garden? And we have to explain that. We could almost sell it as a separate product, because people go onto the liquid gypsum page because they've been told this is the product you need for bitch scorch, but then they get confused by all the talk about waterlogging and things like that. So perhaps we just need to do what we did with the organic pond flocculant product and just stick a different label on it, really. And then the 10th reason you might be getting yellowing of your lawns is competition from weeds and mosses, especially if you've got any sort of parasitic plants, parasitic weeds, but that potentially could suck the life out. But overgrown moss or deep-rooted weeds will aggressively outcompete your lawn for moisture and nutrients. And you'd have to have a lot of weeds, though. Probably what's probably going to cause that more is say a tree nearby that's sucking the life out of the moisture out of the lawn. So if you've got a really, really big, old, mature tree, then that could be the issue. Obviously, you cannot cut the roots on that tree if it's got a tree preservation order, a TPO on. But if it's your tree and it's not got a TPO on, then you could potentially look at pruning down the branches. That will also reduce the water use by the tree, reducing the canopy, or felling it, or something like that if it was in extreme conditions. As well as the yellowing, you're probably going to get just poor growth and patchy growth because of the shading from the tree as well. So the combination of shading and lack of water probably going to just be lack of growth rather than yellowing in the immediate effect. But if you haven't got much shading, it could go yellow because of the tree pulling the moisture out of the soil that the grass is growing in. Moss potentially could make your lawn yellow, but I couldn't see how. It's probably going to, if anything, it's you got all the problems if you've got moss, really. So that's not going to be the main reason your lawn has turned yellow. So there's 10 reasons there why your lawn might be turning yellow. Drought stress. Solution to that, irrigate. And then when the rain does return, apply a seaweed extract to get the grass to recover better, faster. Nitrogen deficiency. Nitrogen is the most limiting nutrient normally. Apply a 32% nitrogen fertilizer, liquid fertilizer. Avoid granules because they could scorch it, especially when the grass is wet. Soil compaction, lack of oxygen in the soil. Apply some liquid gypsum, that'll sort that out. Scalping, solution to that. Go back in time, Captain Hindsight, don't mow so low. Blunt mower blades, solution for that. That produces a almost like a white yellow, frayed, jagged ends of your leaves. Solution for that. Sharpen your mower blades. Fungal diseases, especially red thread, fusarium, fairy rings. Solution for that. Soil sterilization, wetting agents. In the case of red thread, nitrogen fertilizer as well. Lawn pests like chafer grubs and leather jackets. Maybe an insecticide, maybe a bioinsecticide, or a soil sterilant like lime sulfur. Soil pH, especially very high pHs. Plants can't access iron, so lower the soil pH with an organic pH down and a chelated iron to provide the iron back in. Pet urine, it's going to be killing off the grass. The nutrient levels are too high. Add liquid gypsum to lock up that free phosphate. And then competing weeds, trees and moss. Just look at the situation. Can you somehow reduce the canopy? Can you control the roots that are going into the lawn and things like that? So that has been Grass Me Up for today. 10 reasons your lawn or your sports turf might be turning yellow. If you found that's useful, then let me know. If you've got any requests for episodes like Kevin and Hev did, then send them in. And check out eutrema.co.uk for any of those solutions I mentioned. If you've got any other solutions to any of the problems that I mentioned as well, then please let me know. Any physical or biological solutions as well, because I tend to focus quite a lot on the biochemistry, then they're always useful. All right, thanks very much for listening, and goodbye.